Hello, friend. Pull up a chair with me on the porch while the air cools and the neighborhood settles the flag down the street. Barely stirs. The ice cream truck jingles its last loop, and a train miles away lays a low note under the evening. Let me ask you a question you may have kept to yourself. Do you ever wake at 2:11 a.m., with your heart thumping harder than the clock, mouth dry, legs twitching, mind oddly wide awake as if someone flipped on a switch? Do you pad to the kitchen, stare into the refrigerator light like it might tell you a secret, nibble something sweet, just to settle things, and then lie in bed with your thoughts running laps until dawn? You're not broken. You're watching a blood sugar seesaw that loves the nighttime almost as much as our screens and late coffees do. The fix doesn't live in a miracle bottle or an all-or-nothing diet. It lives in 4 simple bedtime foods that don't spike sugar, a smarter evening rhythm, and a little respect for how your body prefers to coast into sleep. Nothing extreme, nothing to brag about. Just quiet tools that may help you sleep like you remember from 30 when night meant night and morning felt like morning. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a repair shop. During good sleep, blood pressure dips, the brain scrubs out yesterday's clutter, hormones reset appetite and sugar handling, and tiny tears in muscle and vessel lining get patched like a well-run highway crew. When we pass 70, this shop still works if we give it the right hours, a calm shift, and the raw materials it needs. That's where night snacks matter more than most people think. A bedtime bite should do 3 things: keep sugar steady, quiet the nervous system, and stay out of your way. Sugary treats and caffeine do the opposite. They hand your pancreas a late-night project and teach your brain that midnight is a party. But certain foods, plain, familiar foods you can find in any American grocery, lean towards steady, not noisy. I'll give you the 4 I've used in kitchens from Indiana to Arizona, and we'll weave them into the kind of evening routine a human being can keep. Before we open the pantry, meet Ruth and Hank, 2 neighbors you'll recognize even if you've never met them. Ruth is 73, a retired second-grade teacher with a cedar box full of thank you notes and a habit of forgetting to eat until dinner because magazines told her that was saintly. She slept like a cat, lightly, often, never deeply. Most nights she would nod off in the recliner, wake at 1, snack on graham crackers, scroll on her tablet, and then beg for sleep that wouldn't come. She took metformin for her sugar, a water pill for her ankles, and she loved an after-dinner coffee because it felt like the day's exclamation point. Hank is 69, a retired lineman with forearms that still look like they could lift a pole. He called himself a night grazer. Dinner was a mountain, wine came in 2s, and at midnight he would cut a hefty slab of pie and chase it with milk, so it wouldn't count. He woke at 3 sweaty and thirsty, paced the hallway, and then spent breakfast arguing with his meter and his appetite. We didn't turn Ruth or Hank into different people. Ruth moved her coffee to sit beside breakfast and set an alarm for a real lunch. After dinner, she traded her sweet, crumbly habit for a small bowl of cottage cheese with cinnamon and a few walnut pieces. She put her tablet to bed on the kitchen counter and let a lamp be the last light. Hank kept wine to 1 and made his pie, 2 bites and a smile. He ended the evening with a half cup of plain Greek yogurt, topped with a spoon of peanut butter, then took a slow walk to the mailbox and back while the cicadas soared in the trees. 3 weeks later, both of them were sleeping through the hours that used to own them. No heroics, just small choices stacked in the right order. So what are the 4? First, plain Greek yogurt or skyr, the thick kind without hidden sugar. Second, cottage cheese, small curd or whipped, whatever feels friendly on a spoon. Third, a modest handful of nuts, walnuts if you like, their grown-up bitterness, almonds if you want a milder crunch, pistachios if you enjoy the small ritual of them. Fourth, unsweetened chia pudding made with milk or unsweetened plant milk, thickened earlier in the day, so it feels like a treat, but behaves like a friend. You'll notice a theme. They all lean heavy on protein and healthy fat, light on fast starch. Protein is the slow log on the fire. It keeps sugar from dipping low and spiking back up. Fat tells your stomach to empty at a human pace, and your brain that it can quiet the hunt for food. Chia brings fiber, which is a speed limit sign for sugar, and a peace offering to a gut that chatters at night. Keep portions small, half a cup of yogurt or cottage cheese, A truly small handful of nuts, a half-cup pudding. The goal is to steady, not to fill. If you like flavor, dust cinnamon on top, swirl in a drop of vanilla, or grate a little nutmeg. Sweeteners defeat the point. Your brain hears dessert, even when the label says 0. Here's why these work in bodies that look like ours. As evening comes, your cells naturally become a little less responsive to insulin. It's biology's gentle way of telling you to eat earlier and sleep soon. Pour fast sugar on that moment, a bowl of ice cream, a cookie, a tall glass of sweet tea, and you ask your pancreas to sprint just as your cells want to stroll. You'll see the spike and the crash on a meter if you wear one. You'll feel it either way in a racing mind, a hot face, a heart that won't settle. Caffeine is the other saboteur. It blocks adenosine, the brain's time-to-sleep chemical, and it lingers for hours long after the taste is gone. For most folks, after 70, last caffeine belongs by early afternoon, not after supper. Chocolate counts. Those little squares at 9 are sweet, but they're not innocent. Add in a few American habits, and the plot thickens. Big dinners, eaten late, pair salt and starch like a prom couple. Blood sugar climbs, blood pressure resists its normal midnight dip, and bathroom trips become part of the night's soundtrack. Screens steal darkness, telling your brain it's noon in Tokyo instead of night in Toledo. A water pill taken early, coffee-only mornings, and a scalding shower can leave you dry by evening. Then the late glass of wine that helps you fall asleep cuts your REM sleep short and wakes you at 3. None of this is a moral failing. It's a map, and maps can be redrawn. Let's make our 4 foods live inside a night you can picture. Dinner behaves first. You still cook, salmon or chicken or tofu, roasted green beans that squeak under lemon, a baked potato with Greek yogurt and chives, or brown rice with a pat of butter and pepper. You eat at a time that lets your body know the day is winding down, not 8:30 with the news on loud, but closer to 6 if your house allows it. Water sits beside the plate. Wine, if it belongs to you, is 1 glass with food and a carafe of water next to it. You put your phone to charge in the kitchen at 9 and let a lamp end the day. An hour before bed, if your stomach is comfortable, you pick one of the 4. A half cup of cottage cheese with a sprinkle of cinnamon, or plain Greek yogurt with a spoon of peanut butter stirred in, or a small handful of walnuts in your palm, no refills chewed slowly, or the chia pudding you mixed at lunchtime, unsweetened and thick as a promise. You let your calves stretch at the sink, heel back, knee soft, breath steady. You exhale like you mean it. Then bed. Your brain reads this sequence steady plate. No screens, small protein divided by fat, gentle stretch as the work is done. If you like stories more than lists, I'll show you 3 more ordinary nights so you can try them on. It's August and the heat is bossy even at dusk. You grill chicken thighs till the edges caramelize and pile cucumbers and tomatoes into a bowl with lemon and pepper. The porch hums with bugs. Kids chase each other with glow sticks, and you keep wine to a conversation. You swirl vanilla into a half cup of Greek yogurt and sit with it under a ceiling fan while you write a line from the day in a little notebook. Sleep arrives like a friend who knows the back door. Or it's December, and the sun has left by late afternoon. You face a window for 1 honest minute, drink a glass of water, and eat soup that isn't all noodles, beans, cabbage, carrot. Screens go to bed early so morning can come on time. You mix chia seeds and milk at lunch so they're ready by night. The bowl feels indulgent and behaves like a lullaby. Or it's a travel day with missed meals and a diner menu. You order the omelette with vegetables and the side of fruit instead of pancakes at 8. Back at the room, you open your little container of walnuts and eat them one at a time like a secret. You stretch calves against the bathroom counter. You sleep because you gave your body a fighting chance. We also talk about whispers and red flags, because safety is part of kindness. Whispers are the small signals that tell you to adjust the plan. A racing mind after a sweet dessert, night sweats when you skip dinner and saved room for cookies, a buzzing in the legs that eases when you add a few magnesium-rich nuts to your evening at 3 a.m. Wake up on nights you pour the second glass. Those answer to steady evening food, earlier caffeine, modest wine, a lamp instead of a screen, and our 4 bedtime friends. Red flags are different and deserve action, not patience. If you have severe shaking, sweating, confusion, or you're too drowsy to think straight and you use insulin or a sulfonylurea, check your sugar and follow your clinician's hypoglycemia plan. If you can't take sugar safely or you faint, that is urgent care now. If chest pressure spreads with nausea or shortness of breath, go now. If you have sudden slurred speech, a drooping face, or one-sided weakness, call emergency services. Don't tuck yourself back into bed. Calm isn't waiting. Calm is walking through the right door at the right time. Tests and check-ins belong because they keep us from guessing. If sleep and sugar have been arguing with you, your clinician may order an A1C to see your 90-day average, a fasting sugar, or even a continuous glucose monitor trial to show what your nights are really doing. Thyroid trouble can impersonate insomnia and anxiety. A simple TSH catches that. Low iron can drive restless legs. A ferritin level is the flashlight. If your bed partner says you snore like a chainsaw, or you wake with a dry mouth and a head that feels stuffed with wool, home sleep apnea testing may be the best gift you give your brain this year. None of this is a sentence. It's a map drawn with better ink. Bring your 2-week experiment when you go. Dinner timing, last caffeine, what you tried for your bedtime bite, how many screens went to bed before you did. We aim kitchens with data the way we aim prescriptions. Because this is America and craving is half our culture, I'll say a word about sweet teeth. You don't need to exile dessert from your life to sleep like yourself again. You need to give it a time and a portion that makes sense for a body you respect. 2 polite bites after a reasonable dinner on a Friday, and then one of our 4 steadying foods an hour later, is very different from cookies in bed by TV glow on a Tuesday. Your brain cares less about virtue than about rhythm. If it learns that every night ends with a slow protein or a handful of nuts and a dark room, it will give you the favor back. You can still bake for the holidays, you can still toast with the family. You just stop making your pancreas the night shift supervisor. If you like small moves that pay back big, here are gentle ones that slide into the evening without fanfare. Replace the salted snack bowl by the recliner with a ramekin that actually limits how many nuts you can pick at. Fill it once. Keep plain yogurt and cottage cheese in front of the fridge, not hiding behind leftovers. Put cinnamon and vanilla where you can reach them. Flavor should feel generous when sugar is modest. Move your coffee maker a step farther from your mug so you think before pouring another at 4. Caffeine at noon is not the same as caffeine at 7. Charge your phone in the kitchen, not beside your pillow. Blue light at 10 is an eviction notice for melatonin. Set your walking shoes where your toes point at them after dinner. 10 minutes at dusk is a stronger sleep aid than most people think, and it helps sugar behave by asking your calf muscles to pump blood the right direction. This is senior wellness where it belongs in a room you recognize, not a lab. If budget and teeth and taste are your 3 obstacles, you're still invited. Greek yogurt can be store brand. Cottage cheese can be the tub on sale. Walnuts can be halves and pieces in a bag that lasts a month. Chia is cheap by the ounce and swells into something that feels fancy with the right spoon. If chewing is tricky, whipped cottage cheese meets you halfway. If dentures have opinions, smooth yogurt slides without complaint. If you miss sweet, cinnamon tells your tongue a story without writing a check. Your sugar can't cash. If you want a warm option, heat lactose-free ultra-filtered milk and stir in cinnamon and a dusting of cocoa. Enjoy the smell. Take small sips and leave the honey on the shelf. Warmth is a signal all by itself. By now you've noticed that we're not promising to reset your hormones or reverse diabetes overnight. We're doing something more durable. We're stacking small, pleasant acts where your body listens most. The hour before bed, we're choosing foods that behave like grown-ups. We're respecting light and quiet, and the way your calves can solve problems by simply walking you to the mailbox. We're making Tuesday night boring on purpose, so Wednesday morning feels like a friend. That's healthy aging. That's doctor advice. For seniors that taste like dinner, not discipline. That's a path to how to sleep better. After 70 without hollowing out your life. I'll leave you with a picture I want you to steal. The house is dim and friendly. Dishes wait in warm water. A small bowl sits on the table with cottage cheese and cinnamon. Beside it, a glass of water catches the lamp, and your phone is already snoring in the kitchen. You take a slow walk to the mailbox with a sweater thrown over your shoulders. breathe in a sky that smells like cut grass and cool dirt, and come back to your sink where you stretch your calves, the way a cat stretches its back. You eat the bowl because it tastes good, and because it is your ordinary promise to a body that has carried you through decades. You turn off the lamp. The room goes honest, dark, and night for once, for again belongs to night. If this met you where you live, send it to the friend who jokes that, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," but secretly wants a quiet night. To the sister who eats ice cream over the sink at midnight and wonders why mornings feel like a fog bank. To the neighbor tracking his glucose who doesn't know a half cup of yogurt can be a ladder off the 3 a.m. cliff. Tap like if the scenes look like your house. Subscribe if you want more porch to kitchen stories about senior nutrition, natural remedies that feel like real life, and daily habits for healthy aging you can keep even on messy days. Quiet nights aren't a miracle. They're a routine. We can build yours together. The reason a quiet bowl before bed can change your night isn't mystical. It's plumbing and timing, electricity and clocks, the same simple physics that keep a neighborhood running. After you eat, sugar from the meal floats through your bloodstream like little fuel boats. Insulin is the dockhand that ushers them into cells, so they can power muscles and thinking, and the slow, steady work of repair. That whole handoff works best when the tide is gentle. During the day, your cells are eager for fuel. They open their doors with very little coaxing. As evening comes, the docks grow a bit stubborn. That's biology's nudge towards smaller dinners and earlier sleep. If you throw a late parade of starch and sugar at that hour pie, cookies, a big bowl of cereal, the spike is taller, the fall is faster, and your nervous system reads the crash as an alarm. Heart tapping, brain aroused, legs restless, eyes wide in the dark. The right bedtime foods don't slam the door or flood the dock. Protein is slow-burn fuel. Healthy fat steadies the stomach's pace. A little fiber is like a speed limit sign for sugar. That combination can keep your line flat instead of roller coaster high, which is exactly the terrain where sleep knows how to land. Caffeine complicates this choreography because it works on a different switch. Your brain builds up a sleepy chemical during the day called adenosine. Caffeine sits in adenosine's chair and pretends to be it without doing the sleepy job. You feel alert while that chemical traffic jam builds behind the scenes. When the caffeine finally steps aside sometimes at 1 a.m, you get a tidal wave of "go to sleep now," which would be helpful if you hadn't also had dessert at 10 and scrolled a bright screen in bed. That wave meets a sugar dip and a nervous system already a little jumpy. You wake, not because you're weak, but because you're a human mammal in a kitchen with electricity and habits. Moving your last caffeine to early afternoon and asking your screens to go to bed before you do doesn't make you a monk. It makes the signals point in the same direction at the hour when you want them to. A big dinner heaps on another layer. Restaurant plates are a duet between salt and starch, and both have nighttime consequences. Salt pulls water into the bloodstream. Blood pressure, which should dip at night, can hold higher. Bathroom trips multiply. Rings and sock lines tell the truth in the morning. Starch loads all at once if it's refined white pasta, big buns, piles of fries, and the glucose curve swings. You don't have to move into a monastery to fix it. You can keep Friday night special and still protect your sleep by eating earlier, drinking water, asking sources to play backup rather than lead, and making space on the plate for vegetables roasted until their edges sweeten. When you close that evening with a small serving of yogurt or cottage cheese, or a modest handful of nuts, or the chia pudding you made after lunch, you're setting the brakes on the roller coaster. You aren't dieting, you're directing traffic. This is why the same day can make 2 very different nights. Picture a Tuesday that starts with coffee alone, a skipped lunch or a drive-through, a giant dinner at 8, 2 glasses of wine, a brownie as a nightcap, and 40 minutes of scrolling under a blue glow. Your body rides a jagged graph all day, then asks your brain to file the day's memories with sugar bouncing and lights shouting noon. Now picture an ordinary Tuesday that starts with a simple breakfast with protein, a real lunch that crunches, a walk in the late afternoon because sidewalks are free, a 6 o'clock dinner that looks like someone cooked it, 1 glass of wine with water beside it, the phone asleep in the kitchen by 9, a half cup of cottage cheese with cinnamon at 10, a calf stretch at the sink, then lamp off darkness. The same person lives both days. The second one lines up signals. The first one tangles them. One pattern coaxes sleep to show up like a friend, and the other dares your nervous system to stage a midnight reunion. The body tells on itself with whispers long before it yells. Learn the quiet signals and you'll know which knob to turn. A mind that starts to race about an hour after sweet desserts. Legs that hum or twitch right when you're trying to settle. Waking in the small hours thirsty and headachy after an evening of second helpings and a second glass. A meter that shows high numbers at bedtime and low ones by 3 that drop is a wake-up call in disguise. Those are whispers that answer to the most boring moves in the world. Last caffeine early, dinner sooner and simpler, water on the table, screens to bed, small protein and fat snack that steadies rather than spikes. Red flags, on the other hand, are not invitations to tweak a snack, they're reasons to move now. If you use insulin or a sulfonylurea and you wake shaky, sweaty, confused, or too drowsy to think straight, that can be serious low sugar. Use the plan your clinician gave you for hypoglycemia immediately. And if you can't take sugar safely or you faint, that's emergency care now. If chest pressure arrives with shortness of breath or nausea, don't bargain with it in the dark. If speech slurs, a smile droops, or one side of your body goes weak, call for help. Strokes do not wait for office hours. Calm isn't the same as waiting. Calm is choosing the right door at the right time. Because you can't manage what you can't see, a simple home log turns this from guessing into pattern reading. You do not need a spreadsheet or color markers. Keep a small notebook by the lamp. For 2 weeks, write 3 plain things each night. What time you ate dinner and the rough shape of the plate, what time your last caffeine and last screen happened, and which of the 4 bedtime foods you used and how much. Add 1 morning line for wake-ups. What time you woke, how many times you got up, whether you felt clear or foggy. If you check glucose, note a bedtime number, and on a few nights, a middle-of-the-night number only if it's safe and easy. If you wear a continuous glucose monitor for a short trial, many clinics can arrange this. It will draw the picture for you. The point isn't to grade yourself. It's to learn your life. Which dinners behave like lullabies and which behave like drumlines. Whether chocolate after 7 is as innocent as it tasted. Whether half a cup of yogurt at 10 makes a 2 o'clock wake-up stop visiting. When it's time to see your clinician, bring that little diary. It's worth more than any guess. Say exactly what you've noticed. I'm wide awake at 2 when I have dessert. I sleep through when I end with cottage cheese. Night sweats happen on wine nights. If I skip dinner, I wake up shaky at 3. These sentences aim care. Expect a few tests that make practical sense. An A1C shows a 90-day average for sugar. If nights are the trouble, a home glucose profile or a short continuous monitor trial can show what midnight is up to. A TSH checks your thyroid. A sleepy thyroid impersonates insomnia and daytime drag. A ferritin level looks for low iron that can drive restless legs. A basic metabolic panel checks kidneys and electrolytes, especially if you take a diuretic that has you up to the bathroom. If your bed partner says you snore like a generator, wake gasping, or you feel unrefreshed and headachy in the morning, a home sleep apnea test belongs. Oxygen dips at night are loud for both sugar control and blood pressure. None of these tests are moral judgments. They're flashlights. Everyday American life pokes the same levers over and over, which is why we fold those levers into the plan instead of fighting them. Coffee is culture. It stays. It just gets manners. Put it beside breakfast, not instead of it, and let your last cup clock out by early afternoon. Screens are how we see our grandkids and read the news. They also tell your brain it's noon at 10 p.m. Move the phone's charger to the kitchen so the lamp, not a glowing rectangle, ends the day. Big dinners feel like reward. Save the feeling and change the size earlier, simpler, with flavor from lemon and herbs and pepper instead of a salt shaker that thinks it's a main character. Sidewalks are exercise equipment that doesn't require membership. 10 minutes after dinner tells your calves to pump blood the right direction and helps sugar find the nerves and muscles that need it. Seasons matter. Summer's late light tempts us to treat 9 like 7. Winter's early dark talks us into cereal at bedtime. Name those patterns, and you'll be less likely to let them drive. It helps to see how a log turns into a plan, so listen to two small stories that could be your neighbor's or your own. Ellen wrote Wine X2 4 nights out of 14. She'd convinced herself it was a harmless ritual. Her notebook also showed Awake 2:30 on those same nights. Without any lecture, she ran a 2-week swap. 1 glass only, water beside it, and a half cup of chia pudding at 10. The wake-ups vanished. She didn't become a saint. She became a person who likes mornings more than refills. Luis, who wore a monitor for 10 days, learned that a bowl of bran cereal at 9 was sending him to 210 at 10 and 70 at 3. He never would have guessed. He traded the cereal for half a cup of Greek yogurt with a spoon of peanut butter and stopped checking his phone at 1 just to see the time. He slept through the hours that used to be his least favorite. He likes to say, I didn't change, I rearranged. You might be wondering how weight fits into this without turning the video into a diet sermon. Sleep and sugar control and weight all hold hands. When sleep behaves, hormones that govern appetite behave. Fewer late-night raids on the pantry happen. Breakfast looks like breakfast again. Dinners shrink to human size without feeling like punishment. That, not willpower, is how weight inches where you want it and stays. It's not magic. It's the easiest way to make every other healthy choice the path of least resistance. You'll see it in the way your belt sits and the way your ankles look at night, and the way the bathroom scale stops running a soap opera every morning. You don't chase those numbers at midnight. You get them as a side effect of quieter nights. There are friendly workarounds for the realities that make people quit. Chewing trouble? Blend cottage cheese until it's smooth as frosting, or choose Skyr, which is thick but gentle. Lactose? Not your friend? Many Greek yogurts are low in lactose. Lactose-free milk makes fine chia pudding. Unsweetened soy yogurts exist and play the same role. Budget tight? Store brands are fine. Walnuts in halves and pieces cost less and do the same job. Chia seeds are cheap by the ounce and expand like a magic trick. Sweets calling your name? Cinnamon, vanilla, and a pinch of cocoa can tell your tongue it got dessert without asking your pancreas to work overtime. Habit stubborn? Put the bowl you plan to use tonight where you'll see it, and set your phone on its charger earlier than you think you need to. We don't summon willpower at 10, we stage the room at 7. One more mechanism is worth mentioning because it hides in plain sight. Movement is not just burning calories. After you eat, your muscles are sponges. Even a short, gentle walk asks those sponges to soak up sugar without much insulin. It's a back door your body happily uses. That's why after dinner, laps around the block or aisles in a quiet store change what midnight looks like, even if your plate didn't win any awards. The walk is not a punishment for eating. It's part of the meal, the way a good conversation would be. If you've been told, this is just aging, keep a stubborn spot for hope. Healthy aging is mostly made of ordinary moves that you can keep on bad days. This is one of them. It is not a cure. It is not a promise. It is a way to line up the simple physics of sugar, the chemistry of sleep, and the realities of American evenings, so they stop fighting. You'll know it's working not because a celebrity said so, but because 3 very specific things happen. You stop seeing 2:11 on the clock so often, you stop standing in front of the refrigerator light like it holds an answer, and you start waking up hungry enough for breakfast. That last one is the body's way of telling you it trusts you again. When you're ready to test this, give yourself an uncomplicated week. Eat dinner earlier if you can. Turn the phone in early. Choose one of the 4 for the hour before bed, and keep portions modest. Walk a little. Stretch calves at the sink. Drink water. If you need to take medicines at night that can lower sugar, talk to your clinician about where your snack fits. Safer is smarter. If you use insulin and are trying something new, write down what you did and what happened so doses can be tailored without guessing. Then carry your little notebook to your next visit and let it speak. I sleep when I do X, I don't when I do Y, is the best kind of evidence. If all of this sounds like the sort of boring that wins the long game, that's because at Island, sleep after 70 isn't earned with heroic suffering. It's earned with a room that goes dark, a phone that minds its manners, a plate that doesn't start a fire at 8, and a small bowl that lands like a hand on your shoulder, telling your chemistry to settle. Share this with the friend who jokes about cereal in bed, with the sister who keeps a secret ice cream spoon in the freezer, with the neighbor who shakes his head at his meter every morning and calls it fate. There's nothing fancy here. There doesn't need to be. There needs to be a Tuesday you can repeat, and a night that belongs to night again. Personal routine is where sleep stops being a wish and starts being something your house can do on a Tuesday, even when your knees bark, the elevator's on the blink, winter is rude, and the only sidewalk you own is the hallway between the recliner and the bedroom. Eat earlier. Pick a steady bedtime bowl. Put the phone to sleep. That was the sketch. Now we fit it to real life. The kind with canes leaning by the door, a rollator parked like a trusty pickup, grandkids visiting on nacho night, a budget that says store brand, and a winter that leans on the windows like an uncle who won't take a hint. We'll make the same plan 3 sizes. Chair-sized, apartment-sized, and weatherproof. We'll swap in foods your grocery store actually sells. We'll tuck safety around medicines, so nothing in the plan surprises you or your meter. And we'll name the simple tests your clinician may order so it all stays grounded. None of it requires sainthood. All of it aims at the same prize. Your room turning dark in the right way, and staying that way while your body does its quiet repair. Start with the legs because they're your sugar valves and your sleep valves too. If stairs mock you, you don't have to negotiate with them at night. Your calves are little pumps lined with one-way doors that push blood north when muscles squeeze. A few minutes of very gentle motion in the evening, especially after dinner, asks sugar to enter muscles without demanding big insulin. That steadies the hour after the plate and stops the midnight dip that wakes you with a thump in your chest. Sit in a sturdy chair near the sink or a window. Plant your heels and alternate a slow toe lift with a slow heel lift, like your feet are rocking a small boat at the dock. Count to 3 up, pause, 3 down. Keep your hands on your thighs so your shoulders stay soft. Then straighten one knee until your heel floats, toes flex toward your face. Hold for a count you can speak without strain. Set it down and switch sides. If a cane lives with you, park it within reach. If a rollator is your companion, set the brakes and let it be your stable bench. Finish with a calf stretch using the counter. 1 foot back, heel flat, knee soft, hip gently forward, breath unhurried. Change legs. None of this is a workout. It's plumbing, blood up, sugar in, nerves calmed by movement that respects the joints. A sleepy nervous system starts with a quiet calf. If walking outdoors feels like an adventure you didn't sign up for, make aisles and hallways your lane. Apartments can be better than parks if you use them at the right hour. When the building is quiet, walk the corridor to the end and back holding the railing or rolling your rollator, turning slowly at each corner. If you don't trust the carpet, take a lap inside a big box store in the early evening when the air is bright and the floors are clean. A cart gives you a handrail. 10 minutes at a window shop pace is enough to teach your insulin how to behave and your legs to do their pump job. Winter is loud. Answer it with indoor laps and with light. You put in your eyes on purpose at breakfast. Face a window for a minute while you sip water, so your clock knows what month it island. That one habit helps appetite arrive on time, which is how dinner stops swelling and night stops being a snack parade. The bedtime food needs to fit the mouth you've got, the pills you take, and the opinions your stomach has collected over the years. If dentures are fussy, cottage cheese whipped in the blender becomes smooth as frosting and slides without complaint. Greek yogurt behaves the same and comes lactose. Light by nature if lactose has turned on you. If you avoid dairy, unsweetened soy yogurt has the protein punch and the quiet you want. Almond or coconut yogurts can be pleasant, but often bring more fat than protein. Pair them with a spoon of peanut butter or almond butter to slow the stomach and keep the point. Chia pudding is toothless by design. 2 tablespoons chia whisked into half a cup of milk or unsweetened soy milk at lunchtime. By night, it thickens into something that feels like a treat but rides your sugar like a gentle wave. Walnuts are wonderful and affordable if you buy halves and pieces. If chewing is hard, chop them or crush a few in your palm and sprinkle over yogurt for the same effect without the work. If reflux lives with you, Keep portions small and avoid mint and chocolate at night. Keep the bowl cool or room temp. And don't lie down immediately afterward. Give gravity a 15-minute head start while you rinse the sink or tidy a plate. Medications deserve a chair at this table, not a scolding. If you use insulin or a sulfonylurea pill that can push sugar down, a bedtime snack can be part of safety, not an indulgence. The size and placement of that snack should be choreographed with your clinician so you aren't guessing alone. A half cup of yogurt or cottage cheese can buffer the night. A handful of nuts can too. The right choice depends on your regimen and your numbers. If you take metformin at night, it rarely causes lows on its own, but it can unsettle some stomachs. Put your steady snack between dinner and metformin so both sit well. If a water pill leaves you up every hour, talk with your clinician about timing. Many folks do better taking it earlier in the day and front-loading water in the morning, so nights stop feeling like an obstacle course. If you reach for a reflux pill in the evening because lying down stirs the dragon, that's a separate problem worth solving during daylight. Elevate the head of the bed a few inches, keep dinner modest and early, skip the late chocolate and mint, and ask whether a different dose or drug makes sense. If you're on a beta blocker that keeps your heart rate lower at night, your nighttime jitter may not be your heart so much as the sugar dip we're working to avoid. The steady bowl was made for that hour. Choices change with budget and zip code, so the food part gets practical. Store-brand Greek yogurt and cottage cheese are your friends. They are often cheaper and just as capable of steadying your night. Walnuts in pieces cost less than perfect halves and chew exactly the same. Chia feels expensive at the shelf, but cheap per serving. A small bag lasts weeks. Eggs remain a bargain. Hard-boiled eggs in the fridge do daytime work so the evening snack can stay small. Frozen berries turn yogurt into something you look forward to without pushing sugar around. They're summer on pause, and a handful under your portion keeps the bowl honest and the brain happy. If the urge for sweet is loud, cinnamon and a drop of vanilla can trick your mouth without signing your pancreas up for overtime. Cocoa powder stirred into warm, lactose-free milk smells like a hug with none of the crash that follows a mug of hot chocolate. If you rely on a cane or a rollator, line up your path like a runway. Before the evening walk, remove throw rugs. Turn on lamps so shadows don't conspire. Park the rollator facing away from the kitchen so it becomes a cue to walk, not a chair that traps you. Place your bedtime bowl and spoon where you can get them without bending or rummaging. Set the lamp you intend to turn off last at a height your shoulder will forgive. If you use a wheelchair, walk becomes ankle circles, point and flex, straightening one knee at a time, and a gentle twist through the middle like you are wringing out a towel, movements that shepherd blood upward and remind your nervous system that day is winding down. The body reads motion as message. Give it one it understands. Screens are here to stay. Grandkids live there. News lives there. Weather lives there. The trick isn't to banish the rectangle. It's to make it take a bedtime. Put the charger in the kitchen. When the phone goes on the leash, your brain reads, "The show is over. Let a lamp be the last light." Light is a hormone in a wire morning. Light says wake. Night dark says file and repair. People want magic, but this is the magic. Light and dark at the right hours, paired with a plate that calms rather than pokes. Seniors who've adopted this lamp last routine often tell me they didn't know lamps could feel like medicine. They can. They're also cheaper than anything with a logo. Personalization also means honoring the shape of your evening. If you're a caregiver and nights don't belong to you because someone else's needs do, shrink the plan without losing it. Keep a small bowl and a spoon on the counter. Keep a tub of yogurt in front, not buried. Keep a jar of walnuts next to the peppermill. If you have 2 minutes to yourself, that's enough to put a steadying bite in your mouth and put the phone in the kitchen. If dinner becomes late because life is loud, downshift the amount your stomach sleeps better with enough than with festival. Then use the same small bedtime bowl an hour later to steady the curve that would otherwise swoop. If nights feel lonely and food tries to answer that question, pour warmth into the hour in ways that aren't edible. A warm washcloth for your face, a clean pillowcase, a phone call earlier in the evening so the late-night quiet doesn't talk you into the pantry. What about folks who say, "I hate yogurt," or "Cottage cheese tastes like my grandmother's diet"? Taste buds change with age and with context. There are ways around stubbornness that aren't tricks. Stir a spoon of peanut butter into plain Greek yogurt. The peanut butter steals the tang and replaces it with peanut pie. No sugar needed. Add lemon zest and a pinch of salt to cottage cheese, and suddenly it behaves like something you'd spread on a bagel. Eat it by the spoon or with cucumber coins. Whip cottage cheese in a blender so it becomes mousse. Dust with cinnamon and nutmeg and tell yourself it's old-fashioned pudding made by a sensible aunt. Mix chia with unsweetened vanilla soy milk and it reads like dessert without insisting on a bill at 3 a.m. Roast walnuts for 5 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit and let them cool. The kitchen smells like the holidays and the nuts taste round and warm even when they're cold. You don't need to learn to love the ingredient. You need to learn to like the role it plays in the hour you care about. Safety means naming red flags plainly and giving the whispers simple answers. Whispers are the patterns you notice. A mind that speeds up an hour after a sweet dessert. Legs that hum at bedtime on nights you skip a walk, at 2 a.m. Wake up after the second glass. A meter that reads 190 at 10 and 70 at 3 on cereal nights. You answer those with the plan you have. Dessert as 2 bites on fewer nights. A hallway lap, 1 glass with water, no cereal after the news, a small steady bowl instead. Red flags ask for doors, not debates. If you use insulin or a sulfonylurea and you wake shaky, sweaty, confused, or too drowsy to think, treat that as low sugar right away using the steps your clinician taught you. If you cannot swallow safely or you faint, that is emergency care now. Chest pressure with sweat or nausea is not probably reflux at 2. It is go now. A face droop, tangled speech, or one-sided weakness is a stroke until proven otherwise. Call immediately. You already know this. It sometimes helps to hear it out loud again. You might worry that this routine will be expensive or complicated or boring beyond what a person can stand. Here's the truth from hundreds of kitchens. It gets cheaper because you stop buying solutions in boxes and start buying ingredients that show up in several scenes. Yogurt for breakfast, for the bedtime bowl, for that baked potato that used to beg for cheese, walnuts for morning oatmeal and the night handful, chia as a week's worth of puddings made in 3 minutes on a Sunday, cottage cheese that carries fruit at noon and responsibility at 10. It gets simpler because the bowl is the bowl and the lamp is the lamp, and the phone sleeps in the kitchen and the hallway lap is the hallway lap. And it gets less boring exactly when you start sleeping through. The thrill you remember from being 30 wasn't adrenaline, it was the feeling of a body that finished the night's work while you dreamed. Bring your clinician into this on purpose. You don't have to arrive with a theory. Arrive with facts written like a grocery list. Dinner 6:30, last caffeine 1, phone to kitchen 9, yogurt plus peanut butter at 10, slept 10:30, 6, up once to bathroom. Nacho night 7 to 30, 2 glasses wine, woke 2 to 20, felt hot, cereal at 2:30, up at 6, 00 foggy. Those lines aim care better than any speech. Expect and welcome a few simple tests. If sleep and sugar keep arguing. A1C tells the 90-day average. A home glucose profile, or a brief continuous monitor trial, shows what midnight is really doing. A TSH checks thyroid because a slow thyroid impersonates insomnia. A ferritin checks iron if your legs won't hush. A basic metabolic panel peeks at kidneys and electrolytes if a diuretic has you pacing. A home sleep apnea test. If someone says you snore like a generator and wake with a dry mouth and a headache, none of this is a verdict. It's a flashlight. There's a kind of person who says, I'm not a walker, or I've never been a snack at night person. Identities are allowed to evolve. The trick is to change the story without announcing it. You become the person who takes the mail after dinner because the light is pretty. You become the person who eats a spoonful of something steady while the cat says goodnight. You become the apartment dweller who knows the quiet hour when the hallway belongs to you. You become the winter person who faces a window on purpose for 1 honest minute and who treats soup like a friend. At 70, 75, 80, there's no test to pass. There is only the question of whether tomorrow morning belongs to you or to a night that argued. The routine we're stitching earlier dinners that taste like dinner, A short walk, a phone that sleeps in the kitchen, a small bowl of steady food at the right hour. A lamp's last light tilts that question in your favor. I'll give you 3 tiny vignettes that live in different houses, but tell the same story. In a third-floor walk-up in Queens, the elevator is moody. Evelyn, 78, keeps a rollator for trips outside and glides the hallway at 8 while the kettle hums. She ends most nights with whipped cottage cheese dusted in cinnamon because chewing is a negotiation she declines at 10. She writes one calm line in a notebook. Walked, cottage, slept. Her granddaughter drew a star next to the first week she didn't text at 2 a.m. from a blue-lit pillow. In a ranch house in Kansas, Dale, 72, parks his cane by the sink and leans into the calf stretched like a man teaching an old truck a new trick. He eats walnuts from a ramekin that refuses refills and laughs at himself for ever keeping the bag on the recliner arm. His meter stopped accusing him every morning, and he now calls that the quiet. In a senior building in Phoenix, Gloria, 70, keeps chaya cups lined up like little soldiers behind the milk. She lights a lamp at 9 and says goodnight to the neon rectangle at the same time, then reads 3 pages of a library book. The librarian now asks for the recipe when she returns romance novels with fewer coffee stains and more bookmarks. None of them call this a diet. They call it what we do now. Food swaps aren't punishment. They're a way to keep pleasure and ditch the 2 a.m. bill. If you love chocolate, make it a daytime square after lunch. At night, let cinnamon carry the sweet story without the caffeine cameo. If cereal is your comfort, pour it at breakfast and let the crunch live there. Use yogurt at night so your pancreas can clock out. If you adore a nightcap because it helps you fall asleep, keep the part where you hold a glass and tell a story, but switch what's inside or switch the hour. Trade 2 glasses for one with dinner and put a carafe of water beside it. If dessert is your love language, practice the 2-bite rule and then add the steady bowl later because the point of dessert is happiness, not sabotage. The brain can learn any of these translations in about 2 weeks of repetition. That's how you reverse chronic disease naturally, only in the sense that you stop feeding the habits that keep poking it. When a plan is personal, it should survive a bad day. Picture the worst. You're late, you're tired, the news is loud, dinner is takeout. You still have an evening routine because you staged it. The phone knows it sleeps in the kitchen. The lamp knows it earns the last switch. The ramekin knows it gets one handful. The fridge has a visible tub that says, half cup. Your calves know the sink stretch. You didn't fix the world. You just didn't let it steal your night. That, more than any perfect week, is what healthy aging tastes like. A day that still belongs to you when other plans don't. If you felt yourself in these rooms, the apartment hallway with its quiet carpet, the winter window with its honest grey, the sink's edge under your hands, the bowl that tastes like calm, then you've already done the hardest part. You can picture it. Picture turns into practice when the objects don't move. Leave the bowl out. Put the nuts in a jar you actually open. Keep yogurt in front. Let the phone's bed be in the kitchen. Sleep shows up for people who set the stage, and then trust the performance. The 4 bedtime foods are tools. The routine is the hand that uses them. Put those 2 together around your medications, your knees, your building, your budget, and you'll wake into the morning you remember. One that feels like it wants you. Draw a thin, bright thread from tonight's sink to the 10th morning from now. Let it slip past your refrigerator door, trail over the lamp's warm square on the counter, loop once around your favorite spoon, and tie itself to your pillow. That thread is the smallest version of a promise. You will make night look like night again by doing the things that your body listens to at the exact hours it listens most. Not a cleanse, not a vow, just an evening that ends with a steadying bite, a room that goes honestly dark, and a morning that begins on purpose. On the first evening, make the kitchen your ally, not your obstacle. Put the glass where the lamp finds it, and fill it once so water stops being a theory. Slide the 4 bedtime helpers to the front. A tub of plain Greek yogurt, a small container of cottage cheese, a jar of walnuts, a jar of chia seeds. While you wash the dinner skillet, whisk 2 tablespoons of chia into half a cup of milk or unsweetened soy milk in a small bowl, add a drop of vanilla, and set it in the fridge to thicken. Move your phone charger to the kitchen and tell yourself the lamp, not a screen, will be the last light your eyes see. Stand at the sink. Press one heel back until your calf lengthens and the front of your shin unclenches. Then do the other side. Let that be your curtain call. An hour before bed, pick one small, friendly thing. A half cup of cottage cheese with cinnamon, or half a cup of yogurt with a spoon of peanut butter stirred through, or a small handful of walnuts eaten deliberately, or the chia you mixed when the skillet was still warm. Swallow slowly. Notice the quiet. On the second night, shape the day that feeds it. Eat dinner earlier than habit would choose if you can. You do not have to reinvent the menu. You have to make it behave. Roast green beans until they squeak and shine under lemon, sear a piece of salmon or a square of tofu, bake a potato, top it with Greek yogurt and chives instead of the salty slide that kept you up last week. Put water on the table. Pour wine only if wine belongs to you, and keep it to one glass with food. After dishes, walk to the mailbox while the neighborhood melts into the kind of dark you remember from county fairs. When you come back, let the house be dim and friendly. If hunger is a story your body still tells at night, answer it with something steady: yogurt and peanut butter, or cottage cheese and cinnamon, and put the phone to bed in the kitchen. Sleep doesn't need to be invited twice if the room is ready. On the third night, make cleanup do half the work for tomorrow. Mix another bowl of chia at lunchtime so the evening doesn't become an argument with yourself. Put the walnuts where you can see them when you open the fridge for no reason. Place cinnamon by the stove so flavor is easy when sugar is not. Make coffee a gentleman by noon, not a bulldozer at 8. When dinner skews salty because someone brought takeout and you love them too much to refuse, pay yourself back with 2 extra glasses of water and a short stroll. Night snacks do not erase dinner, but they do steer the hour that follows. Choose the smallest steady thing and let it end the day. On the fourth night, let weather be an excuse for the good kind of ritual. If summer heat hangs in the yard like a curtain, eat the cool dinner that still respects your meter. A plate of tomatoes and cucumbers with lemon and pepper, a scoop of beans, a few slices of cold chicken or tofu, a slice of bread that looks like a fist, not a football. Sit under a fan and watch the porch light pull moths in slow circles. Your last caffeine should live somewhere in the afternoon, not at sunset. When the hour turns softer, take the yogurt from the fridge, swirl in a drop of vanilla, and eat it with the kind of spoon that slows you down. If winter has pressed its face to your windows, stand in front of those windows for a minute in the morning anyway, so your inner clock knows what the sky is doing. At supper, let soup do the work if you're tired beans and cabbage and carrots in a broth that tastes like dinner, not like salt. Your bedtime bite becomes the warm thing you switch to when cold makes you small. Heat lactose-free ultra-filtered milk and stir in cinnamon and a dusting of cocoa. No honey, no agave, just the smell of a bakery and the way warmth tells your nerves to take a seat. On the fifth night, invite your budget into the plan so it lasts. Shop with an eye for steady, not fancy. Store-brand Greek yogurt is fine. Cottage cheese can be small curd or whipped, whichever your tongue likes. Buy walnuts in halves and pieces, they chew the same. A small bag of chia lasts longer than you think. Frozen berries are summer paused, and they make yogurt taste like a memory without pushing your sugar off a cliff. Boil a dozen eggs and set them in their carton marked with a pencil so mornings stop being a negotiation. Cut a lemon in half and wrap it so flavor stays easy. This isn't deprivation. This is staging. The room will do more of the work if you let it. On the sixth night, the restaurant wins a cameo and not the lead. Drink a glass of water before you sit down. Order the thing that touched a pan, not a ladle. Make vegetables visible, not a garnish. Ask for sauces to play backup. Keep starch to a portion you can see the edges of. Wine can be a conversation. Keep it to one, and let water sit beside it like a sensible friend. When you get home, give the evening back to yourself with a slow walk to your own mailbox and a steadying half cup of cottage cheese. Write one line in a notebook that isn't about guilt. Write about what worked. Grilled trout, green beans, water, small yogurt later, slept through. A tiny log is a receipt from the life you are building, not a bill from a life you can't afford. On the seventh night, disarm the snack machine in your head by putting a bowl to work. If you're a grazer, while you watch the game or the weather, trade the bottomless bag for a ramekin. Fill it once with walnuts or pistachios you'll actually taste. Sit where you can hear the crunch, and not everything else. When it's empty, the kitchen is done talking. Your calves do their stretch at the sink, and your phone goes to its cradle, because you've decided the last light belongs to a lamp. Sleep is not a moral triumph. It's a room that knows how to be quiet, and a stomach that isn't negotiating. On the 8th night, pull medicine timing into the conversation instead of letting it boss you in secret. If you use insulin or a sulfonylurea at night, place your steady snack on purpose in the space your clinician recommended, so the seesaw doesn't misbehave. If a water pill lives at dawn, start the day with water, food, and then pills so you're not dry by night. If reflux pills live in your life, they can make B12 harder to draw out of food. That's a daylight chore to bring to your clinician, not a 10 p.m. panic. If you love chocolate and it keeps you up, call it what it is, caffeine with good PR. Save it for earlier, or let it live in the pantry for weekends, when morning can sleep in within reason. I will not tell you you can't have treats. I am telling you that treats on a clock are kinder than treats on a whim. On the 9th night, listen for whispers that tell you which knobs to turn. Wakefulness at 2 on nights you poured a second glass. That's a pattern. A racing mind on dessert nights? A pattern. Restless legs that hush when a few magnesium-rich nuts are part of the evening? A pattern. A meter that shows a high at 10 and a low at 3 when you had cereal after the news? A pattern, too. And a solvable one. You don't need to invent a new person to fix these. You drink water with dinner. You keep wine to a story. You make your last caffeine a daytime thing. You let screens sleep in the kitchen. You end with a small savory bowl. And you walk the hallway once like your calves are pumps, which they are. At your next visit, you bring your 2 weeks of ordinary notes. I sleep on yogurt nights. I don't on pie nights. 2 glasses equals 2:30 wake up. These are the sentences that turn a shrug into care. On the 10th morning, you wake and realize the clock face you used to see has become a stranger again. You don't owe anyone a speech. You owe yourself the courtesy of not making it harder. Put the glass in the lamp square again tonight because you're going to be the person who drinks it. Leave the bowl you plan to use for yogurt where your hand will find it. Set the walnuts where they stare at you instead of hiding behind the salsa. Put the phone charger back in the kitchen. That is the whole plan in 4 objects: glass, bowl, nuts, charger. The rest is what your body does when you give it routine. Now that the thread is tied, let's watch an entire quiet day spool out. The kind that doesn't brag but pays you back anyway. You wake and sit on the edge of the bed long enough for your pressure to shake hands with gravity. The window gives you honest light for a minute, even if it's January grey. You drink the water that was waiting for you, and it tastes more like a habit than a chore. Coffee happens next to breakfast, not in place of it. Breakfast is a bowl you can make with your eyes closed. Yogurt, peanut butter, a handful of frozen blueberries, a few walnut pieces. Or it's eggs folded over finely shredded cabbage with pepper, toast that asks nothing dramatic of your sugar, and a small glass of milk. Late morning, you do a small life thing, put in a load of laundry, answer a note, and your brain behaves because you fed it. Lunch leans on crunch, beans with cucumbers and peppers, lemon and olive oil, or a tuna salad made with yogurt and mustard on whole grain. Or a bowl of soup with beans and cabbage and carrots that taste like the kitchen is on your side. You walk a hallway or a sidewalk. Your calves do their pump magic, and your afternoon stops needing rescue. Dinner is cooked, not complicated. A pan sears chicken or tofu. Green beans or broccoli roast until their edges darken. A baked potato wears yogurt and chives like a sensible coat. If there's wine, there's one. If there's dessert, there are 2 bites and then a promise to end with something steady. Screens say goodnight in the kitchen as the lamp does the last talking. An hour before bed, you take out the small bowl you placed by the fruit. Fill it with cottage cheese and cinnamon or the chia you made at lunch, and eat without hurry. You stretch calves. Because you've learned that a body that stretches sleeps. The room goes dark, in the good way. When morning asks if you are coming along, you find you are already on your feet. There is nuance here worth naming, so you aren't ambushed by old habits dressed as old friends. Coffee isn't a villain. It's a volunteer with a schedule. If your heart jitters or sleep thins, bring the last cup forward and pour it beside food. Wine is a storyteller. Let the story fit in one glass and never argue with tomorrow. Salt is a marvel in small rolls and a bully when you let restaurants do your week. Bring flavor from lemon, herbs, garlic, pepper, smoked paprika, vinegar, the way your grandmother did when salt wasn't the loudest voice. These tweaks are not a diet. They are a table setting for sleep and sugar to act like neighbors who enjoy each other. If obstacles pop up, and they always do, outsmart them with staging, not struggle. Dentures cranky? Whip the cottage cheese smooth and warm it just a little so it goes down easy. Lactose. Not your friend? Many Greek yogurts are low in lactose. Lactose. Free milk makes fine chia. Unsweetened soy yogurt fills the same role as a protein base. Budget tight? Put your money into basics that do work for you. Eggs, beans, store-brand yogurt, cabbage, frozen vegetables, oats, walnuts in pieces. Travel tugging at your rhythm? Slide a bag of walnuts and a single-serve yogurt into your day. The rest is hotel lamps and the same 10 minutes of walking a quiet corridor after dinner, because your calves are yours wherever you sleep. Caregiving swallowing the evening whole? Assemble, don't cook. A bowl of cottage cheese with cinnamon, a handful of walnuts, a glass of water, lights down. That is not falling short. That is hitting the mark with what you have. Keep safety in your pocket where you can reach it without thinking. If you take insulin or a sulfonylurea, do not do experiments at night without a plan from your clinician. Placing your snack is part of dosing, not a secret workaround. If you wake shaky, sweaty, confused, or too drowsy to think straight, that can be dangerous, low sugar. Follow the hypoglycemia steps you were given and seek help if you cannot take sugar safely. If chest pressure arrives with sweat and nausea, do not bargain go. If words tangle, a smile droops, or weakness grabs one side of you, call for help. Strokes and heart attacks are nighttime opportunists. Calm is not stoicism. Calm is the right door opening at the right minute. What you get for this string of ordinary nights isn't applause. It's a morning that belongs to you. It's a meter that stops writing a soap opera. It's a bedtime that happens when the lamp clicks off, not 40 minutes after a glowing screen pretends to tuck you in. It's fewer 2:11 a.m., stare-downs with a blinking microwave clock. It's the end of standing in front of the refrigerator waiting for it to tell you what went wrong. It's a belt that fits a little kinder, and ankles that leave fewer stories on your socks and a set of numbers. Your clinician circles with a small smile. You did not hack anything. You let a body that has been making sense for 70 years make sense again. If these scenes look like rooms you have stood in, if you recognize the way a fan sounds on a hot night or the way winter light sneaks under a shade, if you could taste cinnamon on a spoon and feel your calves lengthen against the counter, share this with someone who thinks sleep is a contest of wills. Send it to the friend who jokes about cereal in bed and hates his meter at 9. Send it to the sister who doesn't believe in snacks and wakes up declaring truce with a cookie. Tell the neighbor who takes a nightly second glass because it helps him sleep that waking at 3 is the bill for that story, and that there is another story he can tell himself instead. Like this, if your kitchen looked familiar. Subscribe if porch-to-table tricks fit your life better than miracles do. We'll keep turning science into habits that live in your hands and don't boss you around.